Hello and welcome to a very special episode of the Panenka View podcast. Now, in the 1.5 years that the podcast has been here, this is probably the biggest episode of my life, of the podcast life. And I cannot describe the emotion right now, what I'm going through, because finally, what we spoke on the very first day of while starting the podcast has come through. One of the things that was on our bucket list was to get this person on board and share his views. He's forward thinking, he's passionate, always thinking about the better of Indian football, how it can reach greater heights. And he's the director of Minerva Football Academy. He's won it all four National League titles. He's the football club that held at one time none other than Mr. Ranjit Bajaj. Sir, it's great to have you on the show. And we are very much excited to get your thoughts on the list of the questions that have come in and the list of questions that we are going to ask you. But how have you been, sir, in this lockdown?
First of all, it's a great pleasure to be here on your show, bro. And in fact, I really hope that this becomes one of the biggest and the most happening shows in India, which in a short time it already has. So hopefully that this year is going to be the best year for you. So all my good wishes are with you. The pandemic has taken a toll on everybody, man. There is no one who can say that it's left us untouched. It's been very bad for everybody. And main thing is that the uncertainty is killing us, because if somebody had told us, okay, you start in November or you start in January, right now also when they say that they will start in November in ISL, that is if somebody gives them a venue. The venue they choose, suppose that starts having like MLS right now happening in the US. In Florida, they've got the maximum number of cases happening now. So yesterday, the first match was about to happen and it got cancelled because both the players tested one player each. Two teams were already withdrawn because one team had 10 people positive, one people 4. So, Germany has been able to do it. South Korea has been able to do it. But now US has not been able to do it like a single venue. And Germany was not doing a single venue. They've not even been able to do a single venue. So, and the way things are going, I can compare myself with the US today than with Germany, because Germany has had a hold of things and we are still looking on the uptick. But the silver lining is that a lot of jobs will be taken away from people. That means I'm talking about the more robots are going to come in, more artificial intelligence is going to come in, more work from home is going to start. But footballers can make sure that no robots will ever take over your game. Nobody will ever watch robots play. So this game is safe. And no matter what happens in the world, this game will go on, because that's what this game is about. So the silver lining is there.
Great. It's good to have your thoughts on that, sir. Let's start the episode now with the first question that's trending since Friday and Saturday. And that is the Mohan Bagan Atletico de Kolkata merger, MB80K merger it is called. What are your thoughts on that?
So you're pronouncing the name wrong now. It's not MBK 80K, it's 80K MB. That's what the name is. And that's what the problem with the Mohan Bagan fans is. But if I was being honest, if I was a Mohan Bagan fan, and if I don't know how many people know this, but I had two webinars with the Mohan Bagan fans groups in the beginning of when the pandemic started. One was the Delhi Mariners and one was another fan group from Calcutta. And there I had actually made an appeal with my hands folded that if Mr. Goenka is listening, please, it's my appeal to him that this is a chance for you to become a legend. It's a chance for you to become a hero. All you have to do is make sure you retain the colors, you retain the logo, and in return, you will get unending support from millions and millions for generations to come, not only now. So you will have a business stable model for as long as this club survives. And he's done that. So yes, come on, man. Being honest, if the person has spent so much of money and he wants to have a name in front, even McDowell's used to be there. McDowell's, Mohan Bagan. And if end of the day they say that, okay, it's a club name coming in front, but I know end of the day we've got the colors we wanted, we've got the logo, and it's time to get together and support the team. Now, I know it's very difficult coming together with members of another club, but for the good of Indian football and the good of Mohun Bagan, because that's the cards which have been dealt. Simple. You have to play the cards you've been dealt. Yeah, you can wish for anything, but now the card which have been dealt is not a bad hand. It's a good hand which has been dealt. It could have gone really, really bad, and then it would have been a problem. But most of the concerns of Mohun Bagan fans have been taken care of. And now with statements coming out from Mr. Goenka where he's saying things like that he'll probably develop that very stadium and he'll develop the academy of Mohun Bagan. So these are all great things because he's talking about a long-term future plan. If you're not looking at long-term, you don't develop stadiums and academies.
Perfect. Which was one of my questions later on. The thoughts of building a world-class academy in Bengal. What does it mean for the youth of Bengal, and not just Bengal, but for the entire country, for the youth that aspires to?
Bengal is the heart of Indian football. Even though the Delhi is supposed to be the brain, but there is apparently no brain. So all we are doing is running with the heart. And if the heart stops, the whole football dies. See, in 200 years, 100 years, what's kept football alive, doesn't matter what happened to other clubs, has been Bengal. If suppose you take the Calcutta football out of Indian football history, the history will only be a couple of pages long. The hundreds of pages of history we've got is because of Bengal football. And in fact, it's a very sad statement that there's been no world-class academy from Bengal. That means, and it's not that, in India, there were no world-class academies. TFA was there. And if, for example, Mohun Bagan or East Bengal at this time had an academy which had been started even 30 years ago, they would have been producing 50% of their players from there. That means they would have been profitable from day one because 90% of salaries for any football club is 90% of expenditure is on salaries. And you take 50% of it out, from that day you become profitable. So it's not only about producing players, it's also about economics. It's also about now not having to go and look for any investor or sponsor. As long if you're spending 50% less, imagine you just save up the money which Mohun Bagan or East Bengal has spent in the last 5 years, 50% of it. That's 50 crores minimum. And if that's 50 crores, that means they spend 20 crores a year. So if even 10 crores you cut down, 10 crores means a year means you are giving the fees for the ISL for the next 3 years because you 50 crores saved. So that's how you look at it. I mean, a lot of things could have been done, but it's a good start now. Finally, we've got there, and the dream is to have one big league with 20 teams. We'll get there hopefully soon with promotion and relegation. But there should be a law. There should be a rule that they call these developmental. Each team should have developmental players in your team. Developmental players doesn't mean anybody under 21. Developmental players means players developed by your academy. And people say, no. Manchester United, they're not known for their academy. I mean, like, for example, Southampton is known more for their academy than Man U. But Man U's academy record is so fantastic that they've had a player from their academy in the starting lineup for the last 40, 50, 60 years, every single bloody team. And that is amazing. That is mind-blowing. So if that huge team can do it, why Mohun Bagan, East Bengal and all these big clubs don't want to do it is they said, we don't want to be producing players. We can afford to buy players. But see, the ethos of somebody who's been born and brought up in that club and academy will be very different from somebody who has just been picked up from the market, who will be playing for 1 year. Somebody who's been born and brought up from the academy will give his life on the field for that club because that's his blood. And you need to have more players like that because that is what, a long-time guy who's been born and brought up in the academy and he plays 20 years for the club. That's the kind of stories we need in Indian football.
We feel you. We feel the thing, dying for the club, playing for the club, oozing, the passion, breathing the club values, and a very good take on the thing, the merger thing. And that directs me now to the next question. A lot of articles doing the round saying Mr. Ranjit Bajaj is interested in buying 70% stakes of Quest Corp in East Bengal. How true is that, sir?
See, it's very true because when I heard that this is happening and now Quest is very desperate to get rid of. See, they had made their intentions very clear that we want to get out of this as soon as possible, no matter what. A or B or C, whatever, we have to get out of it. Now, that means they're very desperate to offload their shares. Now, if there are no buyers in the market at this time, it can damn well go to anyone. And that person, okay, I have nothing against panwalas, but suppose he owns a pan shop and then he says, okay, you put my pan photo in front of the logo and you put my thing in this, I'll buy 70%. And you can't stop him because he's bought 70%. So I didn't want another iconic club. Now, see, everyone is not going to be Goenka. Who's going to listen to the fans? They could have just done anything. So I didn't want this to happen. So I've even told them that I'm willing to even sit as a quiet investor. That means buy your 70%, give the sporting rights to you guys, then you run it. But if you want me to run it, I am not going to be paying the salaries and you running the club, because if you had to do that and you had to get success, it would have happened for the last 10 years, being honest. So if my aim is to make sure there's a world-class academy, and that means for the next 100 years, East Bengal has at least 20 to 30 to 40% of their squad from their academy. I truly believe Mohun Bagan to this time won the I-League title because of one man. And he's so underrated, Shubho Ghosh. He has got them 9 points. Those 9 points are the difference which took Mohun Bagan in front of everybody, because the kind of goals he basically got at what time he got them.
Correct.
So it's happening all the time. That means my boys have given me in the last 4 years, in the last 2 years, we've been able to get revenue, and it's accounted for 30% of my budget. Me selling the World Cup boys, me selling Toiba and Chote and all those people, all these boys, is accounted for a lot of money. And that has helped me run the club. If I didn't have these academy products, I would have been exactly like the other clubs who have shut down all over. And if that means if I had followed the advice of everyone else, because everyone's advice was, oh my God, you are doing something wrong. You are going to sink your ship because you are spending 50% of your budget on your juniors. This unheard of. No one has done it. But now I've shown that because I spent 50%, I have actually been able to get revenue out of there and help run my club. And at the same time, produce players for the country. And those boys have gone on, and I can say 40 to 30 to 40% of all Indian national teams have Minervans. And that's just in 5 years. So the track record is there. So with East Bengal, the whole dream is to give them an academy which is so world class. And then I wanted that they never get into this position again. So how do you do that? Barcelona, Real Madrid, and a lot of other Spanish clubs have shown us the way. In fact, most German clubs are also the same way. That means they are owned by the fans. So nobody can ever come back and say that I am the owner of East Bengal or Mohun Bagan, because I don't think there is anyone born yet who can say I am the owner of these giants. Why? Because you can be a custodian, you can be a sponsor, an investor, you can never be or you can be a servant, but you can never be an owner of these clubs. So I believe that if I am given a chance to do that, it will be a totally different. So if I am told that to the fans that I'm being honest from day one, that we'll get into the ISL, I can guarantee you will get into the ISL. But getting into the ISL this year after paying them, no, they need us more. We don't need them. The ISL needs us. Why? Because the moment East Bengal goes in, then Mohun Bagan becomes a valuable proposition. Without East Bengal going in there, Mohun Bagan is just like another club. Why? The whole thing Mohun Bagan is because of East Bengal, and East Bengal is because of Mohun Bagan. Without each other, each other's values drop 50%. The entire TRPs of the Hero I-League season dependent on 2 matches. The entire revenue dependent on 2 matches. Why sponsors and telecasters used to come was because of those 2 matches. That's it. And what Indian fans all over India used to look forward to every year are those 2 matches, derby matches. And we used to be crazy about it. In fact, even if I have a match that day, I'll make sure that my match is done and I'm sitting in front of a TV and watching the derby. That's what the guy, and you know, being a club owner and other club owners, they all do the same. Doesn't matter if you're playing in the ISL or I-League. That's what the fascination of these 2 clubs are. And that's why they have to be together.
Very well put there, sir, on you know, the things that you said. And adding to your, let's get your thoughts around this statement from a top EB official that says East Bengal will soon follow traditional rival Mohun Bagan into the ISL. Now, how is that they are planning? And also, you mentioned a very good point there. That the identity of East Bengal cannot be messed with. So let's get your thoughts around that, sir.
See, if they're getting an investor, I'm very, very happy for them. You have to understand, for me, it's not a business deal. For me, it's to make sure that this kind of a thing doesn't happen when I can do something about it. So if they actually get an investor who's willing to put in the money so that they get into the ISL, kudos to them, well done. But they should do it fast. Why? Because Quest is going to get out no matter what. So whatever they have, because I've been hearing these officials say the same thing about the investor every single year before and after the elections and throughout the year. And at the end of the day, the investor doesn't come. Yesterday, I was hearing Abhishek Bachchan, and poor Abhishek Bachchan got COVID-19. So now I have been hearing, I hope I am not the next to get COVID-19. So this is all rumors. Unless we get something out in open, I am not going to believe any reports. And my entire aim is to make sure the ID, the identity of the club remains the same. You have to have the mashal here. You have to have the gold and red colors. Because see, if you don't have the yellow and red, that means the gold and red, it will be very difficult for the East Bengal fans to take, because they've got Mohun Bagan into the ISL and Mohun Bagan has got everything which they wanted. So now for them to get anything less than what Mohun Bagan has got is not going to be taken by East Bengal fans.
Well, very good discussion so far on the merger, the EB rumors, East Bengal rumors, your stand on that. Let's talk a bit more about the Indian Super League putting in the 3+1 foreigner rule. How necessary was it? What are your thoughts on that?
They've not put in the 3+1. They put in the 4. They've actually made a distinction there. Actually, 3+1 matlab ek Asian. They've actually done 4 foreigners. They've not talked about the Asian. So it's a great start, man. Again, we are beggars. Like I was saying to Mohun Bagan, fans are not understanding me. We can just hope and pray that he does it. We can't demand, because being in honest, they've got 80%. Sanjeev Goenka. The same way here, we can just hope that they do the right thing and we can push them towards it. So again, I have been doing this, like I had been pushing them to give solidarity compensation to all the academies. It's finally come through. Now to open an academy and you produce players right down from the junior most level, you get some remuneration, so it's viable. Otherwise, it used to be a loss proposition. That is why no academies used to come up. Even the biggest clubs never used to open their academies, because it's just like pouring the money down the drain. And nobody wants to do that. Now it is a chance. The same way, we've got a chance that suppose they've done 4 here, next year they do 3+1 and follow the AFC. Yes, it's a very big change, shock for them, because they used to have 7 foreigners, and from 7 to come down to 4 is a big thing. Doesn't matter. Good. But they have to understand that's how Asia is doing it. And if you want to play in Asian club competitions, you have to be doing it in your league. You can't have different rules for your league and different rules when you're going and representing India.
True. So there are many questions that I got for you on the Twitter thread and on social media. But before we get into those questions, because we are going to have a special segment for that after this, what is Mr. Ranjit Bajaj doing at this very moment? I mean, you sold your stakes in Punjab FC as well. And
Yes.
What is Ranjit Bajaj at the moment doing with the vision? Like,
see, my entire now focus is on the World Cup batch. And I am really, really unhappy these days. Why? Because I am not able to get those boys here and start their proper training. Yes, we are doing online training with them through the groups, and we give them the videos. They make videos and send back. But at that age, you actually require a coach to be there right next to you. It's not like professional players ko tum video bhejo. I'm talking about boys who are 6, 7, and 8 and 9. I mean, that's the time we need a coach, great coach with them all the time. So the great coaches are just waiting here. Hopefully it opens up. So my plan is to get all these boys here. We've got 50 to 65 boys selected already. And our aim is to scout the whole year round. So our scouting team is going to be going, it's not a 1 month process. They're going to go all year round and scout from everywhere between the ages of 5 and 8. And our aim is to make sure these boys, after being 2 years here, start getting exposure outside India every single year. So when I say my World Cup dream, it's not that I'm going to produce a team which is going to get us to the World Cup. It's not logical. I'm going to produce players to get us there. So how's that a difference? Difference is, if you want a dream to get to the World Cup, you need to have at least 7 to 8 players playing in the premier leagues in the world. Simple as that. And that will only happen if they are picked up by Premier League clubs. That will never happen once they become players, because if they become good players, you'd be a Chetri, and even Chetri didn't get those opportunities. So what do? You impress them when you are a kid. And that means every year they're going to be going to different countries. And every year they'll be playing against the biggest clubs, but of boys their age group. So my aim is, by the age they're 16, they already have contracts with the biggest academies in the world, and then they can go and flourish. So the day India has 8 to 9 boys playing in the premier leagues in the world, that day not only will we qualify for the World Cup, we'll also be runners, we'll be running for the Asian trophies.
Very, very true. So now begins the question session that we had, the segment. So
yes, bring it up.
Yeah. So when you see this in the, do not forget to see the description, because we will be putting a timestamp below for the every segment that has gone so far. And sir, let's start with the first question. Nishant Oram had a couple of questions, and I know you answered there as well, but let's talk on the show. He wanted to ask you if Mr. Ranjit Bajaj has plans for under 18s for his academy this year.
Yeah, and is that to make sure that we have the same academy structure we used to earlier. But it's not by going and doing trials everywhere and picking up boys. This time it's going to be making them also. So we're starting at the age of, we already have from 5 to 10. So within the next 2 years, we'll have an under 13 team. And our is to pick up boys at the age of 15 now, so that they can be with us for 2-3 years and then go into the under 18 and have the same boys then play with us in the second division. So the boys who've been with us for 3 to 4 years, so that means basically our aim is by next year, we get into the second division and then win that and get into the I-League. Why? Because I believe in the next 3 years, there's no point of spending money in the I-League. When there's no promotion, there's no relegation. Then top of that, there is no Mohun Bagan, and there's most probably going to be no East Bengal. No Mohun Bagan, no East Bengal, no I-League, man. There's no point. I don't want to go tell my grandchildren that I have beaten Indian Arrows 20 years ago. Okay? I'd rather tell them that, one day we went and competed in front of 50,000 people in YBK. That's the kind of history you want to play for in I-League. And then with these two iconic giants not being there, there's going to be hardly any telecast, hardly any sponsors, and fans. So with the next 2 years, I don't think there'll be fans in the stadium. So at this time, to spend so much of money, and I can in the same money develop these boys and make India reach. See, the point is, I don't believe, because I've won titles, I can say this, that I don't believe legacy is winning titles. Because every year, every club in every league, there'll be a different winner. Titles are not legacy. Legacy is getting your country to the World Cup. And I realized that when the senior I-League, I thought that will be the happiest moment. But somehow, when Jackson Singh scored that goal for India, happiness was of a different level off the chart. I mean, winning the I-League is a personal happiness. Jackson Singh scored, 1.3 billion people cheered with me. When I was cheering, they were cheering with me because he scored for India. And I believe the legacy is getting India to the World Cup. And if you have that, then I'll be able to rest in peace finally.
So on to the next question. How do you plan to continue your association with Indian football?
So, like I said, I have a long-term plan. I don't think anyone in India, including AIFF, has ever thought for more than 4 years. Even the biggest clubs and biggest academies right now have 3-4 year plans. I have a 15-year plan. So I will be associated with Indian football more now, because see, when I'm with a club like Minerva, then obviously people other fans take me a little bit less seriously, because they think I'm talking on the behalf of Minerva or for the good of Minerva as a club. Whereas now people apparently start taking me more seriously because they know that I have no personal motive or incentive when I say something. It is all because of Indian football. And that's the kind of role I want to be, because when people say, why don't you want to get into the AIFF? Because I know what happens to people once they get into the AIFF, and I don't want to. If I can make the changes being outside and also being able to push them into work. Like, for example, I had to push them into the solidarity compensation. I had to push ISL into allowing Indian coaches to be the head coaches of teams by calling them racist online. That how can you be racist towards Indians in India by not allowing a Indian head coach of a team? So they changed that rule. Then this 3+1 rule I've been fighting for. Then अभी मैंने थोड़ी देर पहले इनको ऑफर किया कि तुम्हारे ग्रुप के जितने भी बंदे हैं साउथ कोरिया, ऑस्ट्रेलिया, उज्बेकिस्तान 1.5 महीने से प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं. तुम बकवास करी जाते हो, तुम क्वालिफाई करोगे नहीं, प्रैक्टिस. Then and facility नहीं है, I will give you everything free of cost. Come practice. So then they did something, and then they've got something done in Goa. Then Jharkhand girls were not getting that money. So I made sure that immediately, because their AFF excuse was कि हमारे को उनके address नहीं पता. And it took me 10 minutes to find the address, not because I'm great. I just asked somebody online, and online somebody answered within 10 minutes with their bank account details. And I sent money within 1 day of me sending 10,000 rupees each to that girl. They sent 50,000 to them because उनकी बेइज्जती हो रही थी कि रंजीत बजाज ने कर दिया, वो shit हमने क्यों नहीं किया. So if there is someone to push them like this, even if there's someone to finger them all the time, I'm happy in that job. And now, earlier, they used to when I used to say things, they used to ban me. They used to put fines on me. Now they can't even touch me. They can't do anything to me. That's the main point.
Well, this is a no holds barred interview, as I would like to name it when we put it out there, because no holds barred with Ranjit Bajaj for the betterment of Indian football. And moving on to the next question, there's a question again. Nikhil asks, heard you are creating an under-6, under-7 team. Is it true? How do you plan to create and arrange the matches and facilitate the programs?
Okay, so first of all, in the COVID situation, we've actually got a bubble plan for them, that because we've got such a huge campus, we'll be able to actually test them and COVID test them and put them in a bubble. And these days we've coming to know that the prevalence rate of COVID for children is very, very low compared to for adults, because their immunity system is better than us. So being there, first paramount is safety of the kids. But if I'm able to do that, hopefully we start soon. But yes, it's true. 6, 7, 5 start, not only 6, 7, 5, 6, 7. And I have never seen such amazing 5, 6, 7-year-olds in my life. And if I show you the kind of touches they have, I am just drooling. I'm just waiting for this time to be fast forward to see what they become, because they are amazing. And I can now say, see, first, having a dream is different. But when you see your dream in action and you see, oh my God, these boys are there, they can do it. Earlier, I mean, suppose you select 5, 6-year-olds who don't know anything about football. These boys are already at a level which is excellent. And we have to make them even par that. And it's an easy job because they are so good. So hopefully you'll see results very, very soon. You'll see these boys once training and everything starts, obviously. You see them creating flutters, because I'll be making them play with teams which are bigger than them. And I'll be making them play with teams outside India. So you'll see a lot of reports coming in on their performances. And then probably I'll start getting support from major companies. See, because the point is, the dream is not about me. It's not, the contract which I have with the boys is 10 years. So that means from 6 to 16. That means at the age of 16, they end their contract with me. That means the only time I can actually make money off them is after 16. But my contract is not even valid after that. So this is a project only for India. And I want corporates to help me out, because then I'll be able to do 10 times more.
Yeah.
And this is something which they can easily say CSR, because this is corporate social responsibility and getting the actual grassroots, because there's no personal motive involved here.
So moving on, sir, as we ask you the next question, you have plans. The youth teams play very less games here compared to Europe, the European leagues. Do you have plans to change this? And because we are at a certain disadvantage. How do you plan to
Yes,
change it?
totally. In fact, that's why we in Minerva we used to make sure that they get minimum 50 games a year, all youth teams. And how? Because every Sunday there used to be a cycle. So every Sunday was game day, and game day had to be with a team which is more than you. So what we used to do is we used to, for my under 13s and 15s, I used to call college teams and give them food and all for that day. And they used to come spend the day there in Minerva, play with our 13 and 15 teams because they used to love the facilities here. They didn't mind playing with the 13 and 15 team. But the 13 and 15s got so good, they started beating the college teams. And but what got that was because the amount of game time they were getting. It's all about game time. And that's why even when they're practicing, I'm making them play short-sided games, because more touches on the ball. But when you actually convert it onto a big field, it's all about getting game time, and that's why we're not producing strikers. Our main striker, after Chetri, Mandir Singh, apparently, he got 50 minutes or 100 minutes totally in the entire league. And that is the main problem which is happening in India. Now, we've got lovely strikers coming in because the kind of goals Himanshu Jangra scores is our goals which European level boys of their age score. I've seen his goals in the SAF Cup. I've seen his goals in the I-League. That's why at the age of 15, he became the youngest player ever to play in the I-League. And he's that good. And I'm telling you, he is the next Chetri because he is that good. And but it's all about game time. Suppose now, he's now with Punjab FC. But Punjab FC, I've given him game time last year. Now he got 4 or 5 or 6 games. He needs to get 12 this time. And then next year by 17, he needs to be playing all games. If you do that, if they do that, it will not only help them, it will help India. And if he doesn't get the game time, it will again be a loss for us. So that is why the 3+1 thing comes in. And that is why people like Himanshu or Vikram Pratap or Nong, people like that are going to get game time.
So moving on to the next question, sir. When the ISL introduces relegation and promotion system, do you think foreign coaches would be interested in coaching a team in the lower division?
It depends on the contract you have. It's not on him. So if the contract is for 2 years and they get relegated because of that guy, he better have stayed here. And then you'll also come to know that why foreign coaches basically want to come to India or not. So you'll see then the real guys who are wanting to go for long-term development or the ones who are just coming here for a quick payday. I really believe that we've got Indian coaches these days who are as good as the foreign coaches. We need to believe in them more and we need to give them chances. Only when that happens, see, we don't need to just develop game time for players. We need game time for managers. We need game time for analysts. We need game time for Indian commentators. We need game time for every person involved with football. So the development has to be all along. You see, what has happened is we've developed the game and we forgot about the referees. The referees standard every year becomes worse and worse. But what do you do about it? You keep on blaming them and keep on gaaliyan nikalte rehte ho, including me in matches. Main bhi nikalta hu. But the thing is, I can't do anything about it. Why? Because it's AIFF's job. In fact, people don't know this. Last year, I offered AIFF the same kind of thing which I did this year. And I said, okay, let me improve your referees. Let them do a leadership course in Minerva. And there was a colonel who was in charge of them, Colonel Gautam. He actually got, nobody knows this, all 50 referees of I-League and ISL came and spent 20 days, were trained for 200 hours in leadership. And their results last year were so much better. People started saying, oh my God, referees improved. And this year, again, it's gone down again. In the 1 year in the middle, it was a little bit better. It was saying, okay, maybe things are improving. And now this year is even worse than last year. So you need to work on everything along. And that is how you're going to develop football.
Very true. So, so as we move on, sir, there's one question that popped up just now. What are your views on decentralization of youth leagues this year? Do you think that Orissa is capable of holding the league?
For example, I don't even know, bro, that I know of 10 associations who don't even hold senior state. For example, I used to be a Chandigarh Football Association club. And that's how we started in 2015-16 when we played the second division. We moved to PFA, Punjab Football Association. Why? Because for 14 years, they have not organized a senior state league. So forget about the junior leagues. And the same with, for example, Himachal, same way with Jammu Kashmir, same way with Punjab is doing it, Haryana is not doing it, Uttarakhand is not doing it, UP is not doing it, MP is not doing it. So I'm just looking at states going down India, and I can see that nobody is doing it. You have Bengal, you have Goa, and you have Manipur, you have the northeast states, and then you have Mumbai. And then you have nobody else who's doing it. So then expecting them immediately to take charge of the only thing which AIFF is doing well is the youth leagues is very dangerous unless they make it compulsory. It should not be a choice given to them to come, not compulsory to have organized karana hai, but standard. कि किस standard का करना है, and if इस standard का नहीं कराया, your state association's accreditation will be taken away, and they are not bothered about accreditation. That means we'll give it to somebody else. We'll give it to some other official who can promise to do this. See, them being banned, they don't give a damn. As long as they're still president, I'm a banned president. They want to hold on to power so badly, you don't even know. And it's all power game. I mean, I can count the number of footballers on my hand, the ones who are actually in state associations with power. The ones who are actually running state associations have never played like a president. Praful Patel has never played football in his life. So how the hell does he know anything about Kushal Das? He knows more about cricket than football. But still, you have that guy running this, and see, the point is there are no checks and balances. And with our own president going against the rules which are there, that means you cannot be president for more than 2 terms. You cannot be doing the 90% of the things he's doing, and that's all against the code which has been prescribed. Then you can see what is the result which is happening.
Well, sir, if you can hear us, yeah. So 3 more questions, and you are going to love these. You're going to love these 3 questions. Will Minerva Foot Academy participate in any tournaments coming in the upcoming Indian football season?
Yes. So our plan was to participate right now in the futsal. Now, for participating in the futsal, your state league needs to do a futsal championship and you need to win it. So Punjab Football Association had planned doing that in July. And now because of COVID, that has happened. And now we can't be state champions. So probably they're going to have a truncated one where they're only going to invite I-League and ISL clubs. The second part was I had promised the girls and all over India that the moment the girls' league, the women's league, becomes a proper tournament, that means not a proper league, not a tournament, 40-day tournament, I will invest in women's league as well. Because I truly believe that women have a chance of getting to the World Cup faster than the men. And they are actually doing what the men should be doing, being honest, like beating countries, like if they meet Afghanistan or they meet Sri Lanka, they thrash them 10-0, 7-0, 8-0, which India should be doing. Unfortunately, when we meet Bangladesh, Afghanistan, we either lose or we draw with them. So the chances of them reaching there are much faster. So getting into women's football is one of the dreams, but that is only when there's a proper league. And AIFF has to do that. Unless they do that, we are stuck at the same place. Other than this, if obviously the East Bengal thing goes through, the entire focus will be there on East Bengal. But again, East Bengal's my main thing will be to give them an academy, world-class academy structure.
So
trust me, you'll see Minerva very, very active. If the doubt is very, very in football. As you've seen in the last months, I think the most active person in football has been me. And when the lockdown has been there.
And that is why you are the first big personality of Indian football we have got, and we've always planned on having. I'm loving the way this is going because we have 2 more questions. Do you think Mohan Bagan will be able to come out of this trap of merging? When will we be able to go to field to shout out for our Mohan Bagan and not ATK MB? Is one of the questions that was asked.
See, let me be honest with you. When you guys go to see Mohan Bagan in Mohan Bagan's matches, no matter what the name of the Mohan Bagan they tell you to say, you'll always be cheering Mohan Bagan, Mohan Bagan, Mohan Bagan. That's the cheer which is going to be happening. It's never going to be ATK Mohan Bagan. Okay, they're never going to do that. So guys, you make it what you want it to be. You claim your club. That means let them say whatever the name of the club is. For you, the name of the club should always be Mohun Bagan. And you can go and cheer for Mohun Bagan and believe the ones who are wearing the red and maroon, including Roy Krishna and all those fuckers, are all Mohun Bagan. So you have to believe in your heart that you're supporting that team. Let people say whatever they want. So there is a time and place. I believe that all these things can come later. That means making him remove the name of ATK from front, making him do whatever you guys want it done, the way you want it done, can all be done later. Once you people take proper control of this club. Now see, they think that they have taken control of Mohun Bagan. Now it's Mohun Bagan's fans to show them, no, you guys, we are going to take control of your club because we have merged with you. And when you merge with a giant, you become insignificant. I don't become insignificant. And that will be shown by the strength of Mohun Bagan fans going there, because you'll see the ATK fans will still come with the red and whites there to support them. This is going to happen. And the Mohun Bagan fans you'll come to know alone, and then Mr. Goenka will realize where he should be supporting and putting the money.
So Mr. Bajaj has made it very clear there. And sir, one final question before we get your final thoughts. Indian clubs have a habit of hiring and firing coaches, which is not sustainable, for a plan to build a club consistently, to play consistently. What do you think needs to be changed here?
See, bhai, what happens is India is a culture of basically quick results, fast results, very, very fast results. And then when they don't get the results, this happens. And this is happening because of foreign coaches. I'll explain it to you. When I say foreign coaches, I mean that I learned it very, very well that foreign coaches will only do well in India if obviously if they're good, but if you give them time. Because इनको ना एक साल लग जाता है सिर्फ समझने के लिए कि इंडियन प्लेयर्स को कैसे काम करवाना है उनसे. When foreign coaches come for Indian clubs, it's good. That's why I don't like foreign coaches for our national teams, because you don't give them enough time. Either you give them those 5 years. What you do is you give them just 1 year and you expect them. By the time they come to know how it works, you've already fired them. Whereas an Indian coach immediately comes in and he can come to know the vibes of the players and talk to them. So if I'm an Indian player, say I've been playing professional football myself. So it's very easy for me to go and knock the room of at 10 o'clock at night of an Indian. Whereas a Gora, I will take 10. It's just the culture, man. 10 times I'll think about it कि मैं करूँ ना करूँ साला कल टीम से ना निकाल दे मुझे या पता नहीं कैसे होते हैं या क्या करते हैं कैसा सोचते हैं, because we don't know how to handle them. And our kids have never handled Goras. The ones who are playing right now professional football, when they were in junior football, they were never Goras there. Right now the kids are getting Goras, but उस time नहीं थे. So this culture will only change when you start giving time to coaches. You can't expect them to bring overnight miracles. So if you give enough time to them and then they fail, then it's okay. But unless you hire somebody like Jose Mourinho or a Bielsa or a Bisla or even the best coaches in the world, then you can say, okay, fine, we're giving you so much of money because we're giving results. But when you hire normal coaches, because all the coaches which are coming from abroad, they're not geniuses or legends. They're normal coaches. You've got to give them good amount of time. And you must give them an assistant who is an Indian. And that is a very big problem. They bring their own coaches. So it's even worse. You need a very good Indian coach who has to be the go-between between the foreigners and the Indians. And unless that happens, you will never have a team doing well. For example, ATK this year did really well because Sanjay Sen was there. I'm being honest with you. Not only because of Antonio Abbas. Antonio Abbas may have been able to get the best out of the foreign players. Whereas, I'm so sure of it, whenever it was the Indians' time, Sanjay Sen played a very, very big role. Same way, in Mohun Bagan team, you had a cast of Indian coaches along with Kibu Bukuna. And I could see my teammate. I played for India under 19, and there was this goalkeeper. I used to be the third goalkeeper. He used to be the second goalkeeper, and our captain used to be the first goalkeeper. So we were nowhere in close competition. Manoj Jaggi. So he's Dipankar Chatterjee. He's the goalkeeping coach for Mohun Bagan. So he was telling me that Kipu Bukuna gave me so much of every time they used to be talking to somebody, one arm used to be around me, and the other arm around the Indian player. So he used to be explaining to Dipankar, and Dipankar used to be explaining, but both of them used to be around. So basically, it used to look like to the player that is coming from him only. It's not coming from Dipankar. But Dipankar used to be used as a middleman. So you have to have that.
Very true. I have thoroughly enjoyed this session with you. And I can say that these were the questions that were asked. I wish there were more, but we could go on with Mr. Ranjit Bajaj on this episode that we have finally got him. 13 July 2020 will be a day in my calendar, marked in my calendar, the day I first spoke to Mr. Ranjit Bajaj. Sir, any final thoughts on, or any final thoughts, or a message to the Indian football fans who would be watching this?
Yes, first of all, it was a great pleasure to be on here. And I'm always available for you, man. Always here for you. And I hope you guys do really, really well. The message to the fans is don't stop believing in Indian football, guys. I know it's now for the next 2-3 years, it's going to be a tough road. We are going to get obstacles, but I believe the future is very bright. We are going to get through it. I am not a doomsday kind of a guy who's going to predict negative things. I'm telling you, yes, we will qualify for the World Cup. But if you think it's going to happen within 4 years, the chances of that happening are very slim because the planning is not there. But now the planning is such that we are having a grassroots development system. And once that happens, then every year we'll be in chances of qualifying. Once it starts happening now, then every year we'll be in line for qualification. So the football bad times are almost gone. Be patient for another 5, 7, 10 years and you'll see great results coming.
So that was straight from the Minerva Academy football director, Mr. Ranjit Bajaj. We at the Panenka, we would like to thank him for his time. He is the very first person to have given us his time and come on the show. We are forever grateful to you, sir. If you have missed something, do follow the descriptions in the link below. We will be putting on the topics that we've discussed. There is a small segment of questions at the end. So like I always do, and I always wanted to do at the end, I never imagined I would say, here's your host Prasad, signing out with Ranjit Bajaj on this episode of the Panenka View podcast.